Hey y'all, welcome back to the shop. Tyson had left a comment asking about changing the blade on the Hercules saw, and it just happens that I ruined my blade and I need to put a new one on there. I cut with that blade that came with it for over a year. It's actually a pretty decent blade. I wouldn't call it super fine, but I mean it was adequate. When I needed to do some real smooth cut on some molding and stuff, I switched it out. But generally speaking, it was quite a good blade. But I cut some laminate flooring, and that stuff will tear up a blade. And I did it knowing I was going to tear it up because I didn't have a different blade, and I was already getting to the point where I figured I was going to have to replace it. So I thought, well, I'll use it for that flooring and then I'll replace it. So here today we're going to replace the blade that came with the Hercules saw. We're going to replace it with an Irwin blade, an Irwin 80 tooth. I'm pretty fond of Irwin cutting products. I've always found that they stay sharp, and primarily they're easy to resharpen. So we're going to just put that blade on there. Okay, before we get started on changing the blade on the Hercules saw, I just want to make one PSA. Please unplug your saw. I don't want anybody losing any fingers while they're working on this project. So what are you going to need for tools? First of all, you're going to need a 1/2-inch socket. I thought it would have been a metric, but it's not. And then we're going to need a T30 Torx drive. That's necessary for lifting up the blade guard. The easiest Torx that I can get to are sockets, and so I just tossed it on the drill here. All right, let's get started. Basically, the procedure that we're going to use is we're going to loosen up the one bolt and then loosen up the other bolt a lot. That'll allow us to kick up the blade guard. There's a spindle lock on this side, which you're going to push in. Spin the blade till you get that spindle lock in. Now the blade won't spin. Place the socket on there. Loosen the bolt that's holding on the blade. Take it out. Swap out the blade and reverse the process. So without further ado, that's what we'll do. So in order to get this thing to go up out of the way, it's a lot easier to lower the saw. So we're going to do some up and down on the saw. We'll lock that in place right there. That'll stay out of the way. Keep in mind that anytime you're going to take off a saw blade, if the bolt is on the left of the blade, it's going to be a reverse thread. So basically, set your socket up to tighten, locking your spindle lock, and you can break it free just like that. Spin that out. You're going to have to lift this up to get the blade out. New blade. This blade's always going to cut down. So make sure your teeth are going the right way. If you put it on that way, it's not going to work. Go back down and lock it in again, just because it's a little easier to work with. Replace your washer. Thread our bolt back on there. Set up to loosen now. Lock in our spindle. And there you go. Lift this up again. Slip this blade guard back down on there. right, we should be good.